The sound came first. A low, wet rasp, the kind of breathing that told you something was wrong long before the monitors caught up. The fluorescent lights flickered, painting the room in a sickly white as if the hospital itself was holding its breath. It was 2:17 a.m. when the gurney came crashing through the ER doors. The wheels squealed against the linoleum, echoing through the half-empty waiting room. No one moved to help at first. That was the thing about St. Barron's. Help always came slow if they thought you wouldn't make it. The patient on the gurney was a woman in her early 30s, face ashen, eyes darting wildly under half-shut lids. Her wrists were restrained. There was no IV yet. No oxygen, just a thin, trembling hand clutching the sheet like it was the last thing tethering her to the world. A young doctor in a wrinkled coat appeared from nowhere, flipping through her chart. His expression barely shifted. "Room 12, he said flatly. The gurney rattled away down the hall, swallowed by the fluorescent glare. In the corner, a man with tired eyes, the kind of tired that came from years of watching bad things, happened to good people, was watching. He wasn't family. He wasn't staff. Officially, he wasn't supposed to be here at all. But unofficially, he'd been in enough ERs to know when something was about to go wrong. His name was Marcus Hale, a former EMT who'd seen more blood, bone, and bureaucracy than most people could stomach. He had come here tonight for a friend, a pregnant coworker who'd been sent here after collapsing at work. But the moment he stepped inside St. Barron's, he felt it in his gut. Something was off. It started small. A nurse glanced up from behind the desk, caught his eye, then quickly looked away. A second nurse slipped into room 12, closing the door behind her, an unusual move in an ER where privacy was usually just a curtain. Marcus moved closer. Through the narrow glass pane in the door, he saw the woman on the gurney, still restrained, whispering something. The nurse didn't answer. Instead, she tightened the straps around her wrists. The woman winced, her voice breaking into a plea Marcus couldn't hear. Then the nurse reached for a syringe. Marcus knew enough to recognize the amber vial, Ativan. Heavy sedation. But the patient's chart, lying carelessly on the counter, told a different story. No consent documented. A slow, cold pressure settled in his chest. He knew exactly what he was seeing, and he knew exactly how it could end. The thing about hospitals, especially the big, overworked ones, was that once the paperwork said something happened, it happened, whether it did or not. If the chart said the patient had consented to sedation, no one would question it. Not the police, not the board, not even the courts. Marcus knocked lightly on the glass. The nurse looked up, irritation flickering across her face. He started. What happened to the woman on the gurney? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a restricted area, the nurse cut in, her voice sharp. If you don't leave, I'll have security escort you out. He held her gaze, weighing his options. Every second wasted meant the woman in the bed got closer to not waking up anytime soon. That was when he remembered something most patients never knew, and most hospitals never wanted them to. Under federal law, any patient has the right to refuse treatment, including sedation, unless they're deemed an immediate danger to themselves or others. And even then, it had to be documented, with a witness. Marcus stepped back, pulling his phone from his pocket. If the hospital was going to play games, so could he. By the time security arrived, two stocky men with radios clipped to their shoulders. Marcus already had the nurse on video, siren in hand, standing over a patient, clearly saying no. The guards hesitated. But then the nurse made a mistake. She glanced at the camera, realized it was still recording, and froze. Marcus smiled, just a little. HIPAA doesn't protect staff from being recorded, he said. And you're about 30 seconds from having this all over the internet. Security grabbed the hand not holding the phone as he turned to face them. Hospitals liked avoiding lawsuits more than they liked throwing people out. The guard let go. Marcus stepped forward, his voice low but steady. Get her a patient advocate, he told the nurse. Now. It was the second patient, right? No one talked about. Every patient in the US has the right to a hospital-appointed advocate, especially if they're unable to speak for themselves or believe they're being mistreated. The nurse didn't answer, but the syringe disappeared back into the drawer. 2 hours later, Marcus was sitting in a dim hallway outside room 12. The woman finally unrestrained. A blanket pulled up to her chin. She was still weak, but awake enough to say her name. Leah. Her voice was a whisper. They didn't tell me what they were giving me. Just started doing things. Marcus's jaw tightened. Informed consent, another right hospitals. Rarely volunteered information. About meant a patient must be told what, why, and the risks before any procedure or medication. Leah's story was a violation from start to finish. It was nearly dawn when Marcus heard the footsteps. Heavy, unhurried. A doctor appeared in the hall. Tall, graying, with the kind of calm smile you learn to distrust in emergency medicine. "Mr. Hale?" the doctor asked. Marcus didn't answer. The doctor stepped closer. "She's stable now. We'll be keeping her for observation. In the meantime," his eyes flicked to Marcus's phone, "we'd appreciate it if you deleted any recordings." "Hospital policy?" Marcus stared at him. "Policy isn't law." The doctor's smile didn't change. "It can be, if you want her to stay here." And just like that, the air shifted. Subscribe to the White Coat Secrets channel now, where hidden hospital stories come to light. Marcus knew exactly what was happening. They were going to make Leah disappear into paperwork. Observation turned into psychiatric hold. Psychiatric hold into something else entirely. The kind of care you never walked away from the same. He glanced toward room 12. Leah was watching him now, her eyes wide. He had two choices, back down or push harder, and risk both of them getting thrown out before she was safe. If you were Marcus, would you risk everything to fight the hospital right now? Or play along to get her out later? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe now. Marcus stayed silent for 3 long seconds. Just enough time to let the doctor wonder which way he'd lean. "I'll play along," Marcus finally said, forcing a thin smile. "But you're going to let me stay with her during observation." The doctor's expression flickered just for an instant. He knew Marcus was invoking something most visitors didn't realize existed. The right to have a support person present in most circumstances, especially when the patient is vulnerable. The doctor hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but no recordings. And no interference." Marcus didn't agree. He just stepped past him into room 12. Leah looked smaller under the harsh lights, her hair matted, skin pale. But her eyes locked onto Marcus's with something close to relief. "They keep asking me things," she murmured. "Questions about my insurance, my history, but not about what hurts." Marcus pulled the chair closer. "Don't answer anything you're not comfortable with," he told her quietly. "You can request that every question go through your advocate. And you can ask for your medical records now, before they start changing things." That was the 5th right, the right to immediate access to your medical records. Hospitals hated when patients exercised it. Mid-treatment because it froze the paper. Trail before they could rewrite it. Which of these patients' rights are you aware of? Share in the comments. Note that the best time to hit the subscribe button and turn on notification now. Marcus leaned closer. "Do you want me to get them?" Leah hesitated, then nodded. Marcus slipped out into the hallway and headed for the nurse's station. "I need copies of Leah Carter's chart, labs, and notes," he said. The nurse behind the desk, the same one with the syringe earlier, smirked. "Those aren't ready yet." "They don't need to be ready," Marcus said. "HIPAA says she can access them now. Are you refusing?" The smirk faltered. "I'll check with the doctor." By the time he returned to Leah's room, a man in a dark suit was standing inside. Not scrubs, not a lab coat, a suit. Marcus recognized the type, hospital administration. The kind that showed up when someone was about to become a liability. "Mr. Hale," the man said smoothly, extending a hand. "I'm Robert Kingston. We've been made aware of your concerns." Marcus didn't take the hand. Kingston glanced at Leah, then back at Marcus. "I'm here to assure you that Ms. Carter is receiving the best possible care. But we have protocols, and you're interrupting them." Marcus almost laughed. "Your protocol was to drug her without consent." The man's eyes cooled. "She's confused. She was a danger to herself. You've been misinformed." Marcus leaned in slightly. "I've got it on video." For the first time, Kingston's smile slipped. "Then you know," he said softly, "that you've already crossed a line. And once you cross that line in a hospital like this, it's very hard to come back." Marcus didn't blink. "Then I guess we're both already on the wrong side." An hour passed in tense silence. Leah dozed in and out, mumbling about someone named Aaron. A brother? Husband? The name came up again and again, but never clearly. Marcus's phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. "Leave, she is not safe." He scanned the hallway. No one was looking at him. No one was on their phone. The message came again. Room 12 was a mistake. Marcus's instincts screamed at him to trust no one, but he couldn't ignore it. He leaned toward Leah. "Do you know anyone here who'd text me?" She shook her head weakly. He made his decision fast. "We're leaving," he whispered. Her eyes widened. "They won't let us." "That's the thing," Marcus said. "They can't stop you. You have the right to leave against medical advice. They'll make you sign paperwork. They'll threaten your insurance coverage. But they can't hold you unless a doctor signs a psychiatric hold order, and they don't have one yet." 5 minutes later, they were at the nurse's station. Marcus asked for the AMA against medical advice discharge form. The nurse's expression darkened. "She's not stable," the nurse said. "That's her decision," Marcus replied. The nurse's voice sharpened. "If she leaves, we're not responsible for what happens." "That's fine," Marcus said. "Just give us the form." They waited. And waited. 15 minutes stretched into 30. Leah's breathing grew shallow. Her head lolled to one side. Marcus's pulse spiked. "Leah, stay with me." "What did they give you?" Her lips moved, barely audible. "Not Ativan." The hallway blurred into motion. 2 orderlies appeared with a wheelchair. The nurse returned, not with the form, but with a syringe. Marcus blocked her path. "You touch her with that, and I swear—" "She's crashing," the nurse snapped. "Move." Marcus's eyes locked on the label of the syringe. It wasn't a sedative. It was succinylcholine. His chest went cold. That wasn't for calming patients. That was a paralytic, the kind used in intubations, or to make someone stop breathing. He moved without thinking, knocking the syringe from her hand. It clattered to the floor, rolling under the counter. The nurse shouted for security. Marcus grabbed Leah's arm. "We're going, now." They didn't make it far. 2 security guards blocked the exit. Behind them, Kingston's voice was calm, almost gentle. "Mr. Hale," he said, "you've misunderstood everything. We only want to help her." Marcus's grip tightened on Leah's hand. "Then explain the paralytic." Kingston didn't answer. Instead, he stepped aside. From behind him, a tall man in a white coat walked forward. Older, with deep lines in his face. He carried a chart. "She's not who you think she is," the man said quietly. "And if you take her out of here, you'll both be dead before sunrise. Would you trust the doctor and stay, or run and take your chances outside?" Drop your answer in the comments and make sure you're subscribed. The hallway went silent after the doctor's words. Leah's eyes darted between him and Marcus, her breathing fast and shallow. Marcus didn't move. "Start talking," he said. The doctor's gaze shifted to Kingston, then back to Marcus. "Not here." He motioned toward an empty consultation room. Inside, the blinds were drawn. The hum of fluorescent lights filled the tense silence. The doctor closed the door, then leaned on the table. "Her name isn't Leah Carter," he said. "Not legally. She's under federal witness protection. And 2 nights ago, the man she testified against was released from prison on a technicality." Leah's voice cracked. "Aaron, my brother, he's with them now." The doctor nodded. "We got a call, anonymous, untraceable, saying she wouldn't survive the night. When she arrived, someone in this hospital tried to make sure of it." Marcus's stomach turned. "So the syringe," the doctor's jaw tightened, "wasn't from my orders. But if you walk her out of here without knowing who's watching, you won't get 2 blocks." Marcus stared at him. "Then what's your plan?" The doctor took a breath. "We use the hospital's own bureaucracy against them. Get her transferred under a false diagnosis to a secure wing. No one outside this building will know where she is. But," he looked at Marcus, "we need her consent. In writing." Marcus almost laughed. "You mean that patient right you've been ignoring all night?" The doctor's mouth twitched. "Yes, informed consent. I'm giving it to her now." Leah hesitated, her eyes searching Marcus's face. "Do you trust him?" Marcus didn't answer right away. He'd spent hours fighting against everyone in this building. Now one of them wanted him to believe they were on the same side. Finally, he nodded. "If we do this, we do it on our terms. We keep copies of every paper she signs. We keep a record of every person who comes near her." The doctor agreed. The transfer papers were drawn up. Marcus read every word, line by line, twice. At 4:37 a.m., Leah was wheeled out, not toward the main elevators, but down a narrow service corridor, flanked by the doctor and 2 security guards Marcus didn't recognize. Halfway there, a figure stepped out from a side door, the nurse from earlier. Her eyes were cold. In her hand was a clipboard. "You forgot one form," she said smoothly. Marcus took it, scanned it. It was an authorization for emergency medication administration. He looked up. "You're really bad at this." He tore it in half, letting the pieces fall to the floor. The nurse's mouth curled into a smirk. "We'll see." They reached the secure wing, a heavy steel door with a keypad. The doctor punched in a code. Inside, the lighting was dim, the rooms quieter. No visitors wandered here. Leah was settled into a private room. Marcus stayed by the door. For a few minutes, it felt like they'd finally been one step ahead. Then Marcus's phone buzzed. "Check the window." He crossed the room, pulling back the curtain. Across the street, in the shadow of a parking garage, stood a man in a dark coat, his face obscured. He was looking directly at the room. And he was smiling. Marcus turned back to the doctor. "Your plan has a leak." The doctor's face went pale. "Then we accelerate." They used another right most people didn't think about. The right to request a specific provider or refuse a specific one. Marcus had Leah formally refuse treatment from the nurse who'd tried to inject her, locking her out of any contact. Within an hour, they arranged for Leah's chart to be marked for external transfer to another facility. It would buy them time. The paper trail would say she was leaving in the morning, even though they planned to move her tonight. But the hospital wasn't done. At 6:12 a.m., alarms sounded down the hall. A fire drill, or at least that's what the overhead voice claimed. Marcus's instincts screamed. A drill at this hour was cover for chaos. Sure enough, as staff began moving patients, two men in street clothes slipped past the nurse's desk and headed straight for Leah's room. Marcus moved faster. He slammed the door shut, bracing it with his shoulder. "We've got company," he shouted. The doctor grabbed a phone, calling security. But the footsteps outside grew louder. Marcus yanked open the supply closet, grabbed a rolling crash cart, and jammed it against the door. The men outside pounded on it once, then walked away. 5 minutes later, the fire drill ended. By sunrise, Leah was in an unmarked ambulance. The doctor riding in front, Marcus in back. They didn't speak much. Exhaustion and adrenaline made words useless. The ambulance wound through back streets, finally stopping at a small private clinic 2 towns over. Leah was led inside. The clinic director, a sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, greeted them. "She's safe here," she said simply. "For now." Marcus turned to Leah. "For now" wasn't enough. But it was better than the cold certainty of St. Barron's. She reached for his hand. "You didn't have to do this." "Yeah," Marcus said quietly. "I did." He left the clinic as the sun broke over the horizon, his phone heavy in his pocket with recordings, forms, and names. He didn't know if they'd ever use them. But he knew one thing for certain: hospitals could be as dangerous as the streets if you didn't know your rights. And most people didn't. 5 patient rights from this story. 1. Right to refuse treatment. You can refuse any treatment or medication unless you're deemed an immediate danger to yourself or others, and it must be documented with a witness. 2. Right to a patient advocate. You can request an advocate at any time, especially if you feel mistreated or unable to make decisions. 3. Right to informed consent. Providers must explain any procedure, medication, or treatment, and including risks, before you agree. 4. Right to access your medical records immediately. You can request and receive your records during treatment, not just after discharge. 5. Right to request or refuse a specific provider. You can ask for a different provider or refuse care from one you distrust. If you were in Marcus's place, which of these rights would you have used first? And which do you think most people overlook until it's too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And make sure you're subscribed to The White Coat, Secrets channel where hidden hospital stories come to light. Share this episode so more people can know their rights in the hospital setting.